Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on our YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined to you today by our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
Welcome in, everybody. Big show.
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. And here's how our show's going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a whole ass load of topics that we have lined up for you guys. We got a little big packed show today, including a quick conversation with our friend Kristian Harloff, some in other news. We got a bunch of stuff to do here today. But then in the last part of the show is the most important part. That's when we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you guys have a thought, theory, opinion, or question, go ahead and fire down into our super chats. We're only going to leave them open for a little bit here today. So if you have a question, comment, or observation, make sure you fire it in on soon, and then we will get around to answering those in the second part of the show. All right. Should remind you guys, too, that you can't always get your John Campea Show fix on YouTube. Maybe you're driving. Maybe you're on public transportation. Maybe you're at work. Maybe you're in the gym. That's why you need to be subscribed to the John Campea Show podcast feed. You can find the John Campea audio podcast feed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Guys, make sure you can go subscribe to it. That way it's there and ready for you when you need it. All right. With all that down, guys, let's get things started here today, shall we? And we're going to start off with this. You know, of course, one of the biggest pieces of news in the past months, really, is the fact that Kathleen Kennedy has now stepped down as the president of Lucasfilm, about 5 or 6 years too late, but hey, better late than never. And that Lin-Manuel Brennan and Dave Filoni are taking over as the presidents of Lucasfilm and will be running that ship together. And I have my apprehensions about Dave Filoni, right? You guys have watched my show for a while. You know I have my apprehensions. I really like him. And I love Rebels, but I have always for years now been really against the idea of him being the next person to take over Lucasfilm. Number one, because he has no idea how to make anything live action. And number two, he has no idea what it means to run a studio. He's zero idea how to run a studio. Now, that being said, being Kathleen Kennedy's favorite child, Kathleen Kennedy, a couple of years ago, elevated him to the role of chief creative officer at Lucasfilm to give him a number of years of executive experience, which I thought was a good move. And with him now becoming co-president, they also elevated Lin-Manuel Brennan to also be co-president to look over more of the technical aspects of running the business. I thought that was a good move. So those have alleviated it a little bit. So I'm still nervous about Dave Filoni. He wouldn't have been my pick, but I'm going to cheer for him. And they've certainly done a few good things in the last couple of years to make him better prepared for the role. But then there's this story that comes to us from The Wrap, a major outlet here in the industry, indicating that not only did Dave Filoni not like the greatest thing Star Wars has ever done outside of the original trilogy. There's the original trilogy will always be the top, but the best thing Star Wars has ever done outside of the original trilogy, Andor, which of course shocked the world by winning the Emmy for best writing in a drama series, beating out every other show in television, won best writing for a drama series, that he didn't like it. And on top of that, he wouldn't have done it. And on top of that, it's the one thing Star Wars has done in the last number of years where Dave Filoni had zero input and zero influence on, or zero involvement in. The best thing Star Wars has done, and he actually had nothing to do with it. At least that's what the folks at The Wrap say. This is what they say. But the stark difference between Ahsoka, lightsaber and mythology-heavy sci-fi series, and Andor, a gritty and openly political drama show, may best outline where Filoni's Star Wars interests lie. Filoni was publicly supportive of Tony Gilroy's critically acclaimed live-action series Andor, but behind the scenes, he discussed his dissatisfaction with the show, according to a Lucasfilm insider who spoke with The Wrap. Lucasfilm denied the characterization of the events, and for the record, so is Dave Filoni. Gilroy openly deviated from the events depicted in Filoni's Star Wars Rebel, including Mon Mothma's daring escape from Coruscant. Filoni never spoke out against the changes, but Gilroy told Entertainment Weekly last year about the approach he and his brother Dan Gilroy took, saying, "We are hijacking canon. In canon, she's rescued by the Gold Squadron, and the speech that they gave in the cartoon, which was a canonical show, is on the ship. And Danny's like, do I have to stick with this fucking speech? Andor, which won the Best Writing for a Drama Series Emmy last year, was famously greenlit by Kennedy and was one of the rare Star Wars live-action shows to have zero input from Filoni. There are noticeably no nerdy Easter eggs or appearances by characters from the animated series or from one of the novels. All right. So, in what can be best described as a rocky, let's call it that, Jonathan, a rocky couple of years of Star Wars. By couple, I mean, I don't know, going all the way back to The Rise of Skywalker, whatever.
It's been almost a decade.
It's been almost
more.
a decade or more.
Yeah.
In what can be defined as a rocky period, the absolute best gold standard, one shining diamond in the rough that they've had, which was Andor, is the one thing that the new boss at Lucasfilm didn't like, at least according to insiders at Lucasfilm speaking to the Wrap, and had absolutely nothing to do with. And that's the thing that they did that won awards, won critical acclaim, and is quite simply the best thing Star Wars has ever done since Return of the Jedi. So my question becomes, should we be concerned? Should we be concerned? I am of two minds on this, and I'd be curious to know what you guys think about this. But my two minds on this are as follows. If we heard that Kevin Feige was going to leave Marvel tomorrow, and the guy that he appointed, because remember, Kathleen Kennedy handpicked Lin-Win Brennan and Dave Filoni to run Lucasfilm. She picked them, just like George Lucas handpicked her. But if we found out tomorrow that Kevin Feige was leaving Marvel and that he decided to handpick somebody to now run Marvel, and then we found out, oh yeah, this person hates the Avengers. Doesn't like the Avengers. Would we be concerned about the future of Marvel? Of course the answer is yes.
Yeah.
We would of course be concerned with that. I mean, not that they disliked everything Marvel did. They liked almost everything Marvel did, but they hated the Avengers.
Right.
And all the Avengers stuff. We would obviously be concerned. So, the one thing that I've kind of been hanging my hat on was that I'll be honest with you, Jonathan, I didn't know that Dave Filoni had nothing to do, didn't even have any input
Right.
on Andor.
He was too busy writing Ahsoka.
Well, he was busy writing a useless follow-up to Ahsoka, yes. And finding out that he didn't even have any involvement with that, I mean, we all know it was mostly Tony Gilroy's anyway.
Yeah.
That does make me a little bit nervous. I'm not going to lie. That makes me a little bit nervous, a little bit more concerned, because I already have some pre-existing concerns about Dave Filoni taking over. But that said, I also have another side of my mind about it. Number one is, does finding out Dave Filoni wasn't involved in any way in the best thing Star Wars has ever done since Return of the Jedi change anything? Not really. I mean, because listen, to be honest, when thinking about the pros and cons of Dave Filoni taking over Lucasfilm, Andor was never a part of the conversation anyway, right? Like, his passion for Star Wars isn't changed because he wasn't involved with Andor.
Right.
His deep knowledge of the canon and the lore of Star Wars doesn't change just because he didn't work on Andor. The fact that he was basically the Padawan to George Lucas doesn't change anything simply because we found out he wasn't involved in Andor. Now, the fact that at least people from Lucasfilm whispering out that Dave Filoni had problems with Andor, okay, that part concerns me a little bit, because again, that's the best thing Star Wars has done, and you're telling me one of the new people in charge of Lucasfilm is going to stay away from the best stuff they've done? So what, we can have 17 more minutes of Ahsoka crossing her arms and sighing deeply?
That's just one episode, 17 minutes long. That's a runtime.
Yeah, that was just one episode.
Yeah.
That does concern me a little bit.
It is.
But look, at the end of the day, I think I am still pretty much where I was before. I have some concerns. I would not have selected Dave Filoni myself, but I do think Dave Filoni is in a better position to take over Lucasfilm today than he was 4 years ago. And you're not going to find anybody who has a deeper love of Star Wars out there than Dave Filoni. And I think Dave Filoni has exhibited that he has a lot to learn. I remember, you know what, Jonathan, my favorite thing that I've ever seen from Dave Filoni was during season 1 of The Mandalorian. They did the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
And they were interviewing him because he's on set directing an episode. He had never directed anything live action in his life. And whereas a lot of other people could say, yeah, you know what? I feel right at home in this director's chair. Or somebody else could have said, I can't wait to show everybody what I've got in directing this. You know what? Do you remember what Dave Filoni said?
He was incredibly humble.
Yeah. He said, and I quote, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Thank God I've got Jon Favreau here. Now,
As long as he's still not saying that.
yeah. but I mean, some people could look at that comment and go, oh no.
He's out of his depth.
Not me though. I remember when I heard him say that, I was like, that he's got it. When you have somebody who's in a position like he's in,
Yeah.
and he just is in a place where he's believing, I have so much to learn. To me, that's a guy I'll bet on. I will bet on that guy. Now, has he come far enough now to run a major studio like Lucasfilm? We'll find out. But that was one of the big things that really swayed me more towards that. He's got that kind of attitude, and I hope he still does, because that to me was really impressive when he said that. Because he could have been, oh, look at me, I'm Dave Filoni. He was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Thank God I've got Jon Favreau here.
And he's still has
that's a guy
Favreau there.
who's going to learn.
And
right?
he's still surrounded by an ecosphere of people who are in the business, who know what they're doing.
Yeah, and he's got Lin-Manuel Brennan there, who's been an executive at Lucasfilm for a number of years. So, look, still would have been my pick? No. But I think there could be cause for optimism despite what his reported feelings are towards Andor? Yeah, but still, I'm sitting in the stands waving the Dave Filoni flag and saying, let's go, man. Let's make Star Wars fantastic.
You got to have some positivity about it. And the thing is that he's not, this guy is going to have a much shorter leash compared to Kathleen Kennedy. He's not set up in the way that Kathleen is in the industry. She's a major cog in the industry. She was given a decade or plus. He is not going to have that kind of leash.
No, he's not. And you know why especially? Why it's going to be precarious for him? To use a sports analogy, a coach is never on shakier ground with his job than when the team hires a new GM, a new general manager.
Right.
Because not always, but quite often, a new general manager want to come in and put his people in place. Big Papa Iger is stepping down.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be gone within the next 6 months, I think.
Scary.
Yeah.
It's a little scary.
Nervous, especially considering what happened with the Bob Chapek era. But, and whoever Disney appoints as the new chairman, I think they're going to give Filoni and Lin-Manuel Brennan a much shorter leash than what Bob Iger gave Kathleen Kennedy.
Right.
And so, I think if you have, again, you can't blame Brennan or Filoni for anything bad that happens in the next year and a half, 2 years, because that stuff's already in place.
That happened pre-transition.
Pre the switch.
Yeah.
So if Mandalorian sucks, you can't necessarily blame Filoni as the studio head. If Starfighter sucks, you can't necessarily blame Filoni as the studio head. But after that,
yes,
the new boss at Disney may only give him
2 years,
1, 2, maybe 3
like
years,
2030, 2031.
Yeah, to show you get to keep this job.
That's so weird to say, by the way. 2030, 2031.
Oh God,
it's so weird to say. But
we're at that point now, aren't we?
Also, I was going to say, just to touch on quickly, we talk about James Gunn being kind of the creative head of DC Studios as well. He's not writing and directing every project.
No, he's shepherding it.
And exactly. And so while he will be shepherding, he's not writing and directing every project at Lucasfilm going forward. There's going to be some that he's directly involved with, but I highly doubt he's going to be hands-on that much on the film side of it, the movie side of it, as much as maybe more so the streaming side of it.
I think people are just more concerned that he's going to steer everything more towards being cartoony.
Yeah, say oh, this is too mean-spirited. Nah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this is too dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
We need more cartoon-like characters. That's what the fear is.
Right.
Let's see what happens. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? New report in the Wrap reiterating the fact that they've been told from sources of Lucasfilm that Filoni straight up didn't like Andor, despite what Lucasfilm's official position was, and the fact that it was the one thing that he didn't have anything to do with, even though it's the best thing Star Wars has ever done since Return of the Jedi. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, A24 has had an incredible track record, not just recently, but over the last couple of years. I mean, they are becoming the most major of the minor studios, because now it's just to the point now when A24 says they got something coming out, serious cinephiles, they take notice. I mean, just in the last couple of years, you've had films like Marty Supreme, which is about to be nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards and is the highest grossing film they ever did. We had Uncut Gems, Lady Bird, which got a ton of Oscar stuff, Civil War, Everything Everywhere All at Once, which won Best Picture at the Academy Award. They are a studio now that when they've got something coming out, people take notice. And now they've got a new project coming out that, according to Deadline, has just added a couple of major award-winning actresses. As Deadline is saying, Léa Seydoux, who won, of course, the Palme Noire, joins Mikey Madison, who is the reigning defending Best Actress at the Academy Awards, of course, from Anora, in a new movie they've got coming out called The Masque of the Red Death. And it says this: Palme d'Or winning French actress Léa Seydoux, who of course you remember from, she was in Dune, she was in a couple of Bond movies. She most notably broke out in Blue is the Warmest Color, which granted is a very sensual and, you know, in John Campea terminology, filthy movie, but it's also a tender and beautiful movie. That's where she really kind of got her notoriety. Is set to star opposite Academy Award-winning actress Mikey Madison in The Masque of the Red Death, a new film from A24 and Picture Start, billed as a revisionist and darkly comedic take on the short story of the same name by Edgar Allan Poe. No word on the role to be played by Seydoux. Published in 1842, Poe's story follows Prince Prospero, who retreats with a group of nobles into a fortified abbey as a deadly plague ravages the countryside. To distract themselves, the elites host an elaborate masked ball, but as the night progresses, an unsettling presence disrupts the celebration, forcing the guests to confront the reality they believed they had shut out. Oh, this sounds like a Best Picture contender already.
It can be pretty wacky, I have a feeling.
I think, and I love the fact that they say they're going to take a little bit of a comedic slant on it as well, because that's kind of the way they handled everything everywhere all at once. Like, it's a serious drama about identity and family and all that kind of stuff, but it's also distinctly funny.
It's satirical.
And if they can take something like this, and listen, you're adding the reigning Academy Award-winning Best Actress in Mikey Madison, who she is going to be it. Like, trust me, 5 years from now, she's going to be one of these people where every other year she's in the running for an Oscar. And you've got award-winning Léa Seydoux. This is amazing. It sounds like it's going to be, you know, a little erotic with the sound of it, like throwing a big masked ball at the thing. I can just imagine what A24 might do with that. You got some of the most incredible talent attached to it, and it's A24 who's on a massive role. So in the words of Robert Meyer Burnett, what's there not to love? This sounds amazing to me. I cannot wait to hear how this thing kind of develops. I'm going to keep my eye very closely on future announcements for casting and all that kind of stuff. Who's going to play Prospero? Or will Prospero be a gender-swapped thing that maybe Mikey Madison or Léa Seydoux will do? I don't think they'll do that, but we'll see. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I love the sound of this. Coming from A24, world-class award-winning talent. I love the sounds of it. Do you care? Maybe it sounds boring to you. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, in the Netflix era of doing Marvel shows, remember they had Daredevil, Punisher, The Defenders, and one of them, of course, was Luke Cage. And the Netflix era of Marvel shows was a little hit and miss. I mean, obviously you had things like Punisher and Daredevil. You had some questionable things like The Defenders. I personally wasn't a big fan of Jessica Jones. I wanted to like it. I like the character though, but I didn't really like it so much. But then you have Luke Cage. And Luke Cage is one of their shows where the first half of season 1 of Luke Cage, I thought was fantastic. We had, of course, Mahershala Ali in there as Cottonmouth. And that first half of that first season, I thought was great.
Yep.
But then after Mahershala Ali left the show, I'm not saying it's because he left the show. I'm just saying it just so happens right around that time, the second half of season 1, to me, went downhill really fast.
Yeah.
And became almost unwatchable. Then they did a second season, and it didn't pick it back up.
No, it had really silly moments.
Yeah,
honestly.
and it had some good moments, by the way. There were a couple of episodes that had some moments I really quite liked, but overall, it was just kind of a disappointment. But one thing that was not shaken, Mike Colter, that handsome son of a bitch, he was great as the character.
Oh yeah, he played the role perfectly.
Oh, he was a wonderful Luke Cage. Now, with all these Netflix guys coming over to the MCU now, of course, we have Charlie Cox, John Bernthal. We heard that, Kristen Ritter, who played Jessica Jones, is now coming over. The one kind of obvious omission of all that was Mike Colter as Luke Cage.
Mm-hmm.
And he had even said before that, he wasn't interested and he wasn't coming back. Well, guess what? Just like your favorite band, he's now singing a new tune. Because in a recent interview, Mike Colter said this about maybe coming back to play Luke Cage in the MCU this time. He said, listen, I will say this. I've had conversations. The actor stated, I would tell people no because I actually was like, when it wrapped, talking about Luke Cage, I loved playing Luke Cage, but I also just love acting. I love doing different things. Despite his prior hesitation to revive the role, Colter noted that he loves Marvel fans and the series world. So listen, this is a huge about face. Going from, hey, listen, I loved playing Luke Cage, but I'm now looking forward to doing other things in my career. I'm leaving that character behind. I loved it, but I'm leaving it behind and moving on to new things.
And he's been busy. He's been doing that.
Oh yeah, like he's had that series Evil that's been running forever.
Mm-hmm. Amongst other things. Yeah.
And amongst other things, he's a terrific actor. And again, just one handsome son of a bitch. Look at that guy. Makes me jealous. Makes me angry at the universe. When one guy takes too much good looks, it takes it away from the rest of us. But anyway, that being said, he was a wonderful Luke Cage. You know what this reminds me of, Jonathan?
What's that?
It reminds me about, go back a few years, Robert Downey Jr. being on... who's the shock jock on Sirius FM?
Stern or something?
Stern, yeah, he was on Howard Stern. And he basically, I'm paraphrasing, but basically said, it was the best part of my career, but I am done, being in Marvel movies. I'm done. That time is now done.
And then Dr. Dolittle happened.
And I said for years, from the day Endgame ended, I said, Robert Downey Jr. will be back. You watch. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, maybe not in 3 years, but he'll be back. I guarantee it. But he said that. But then you might remember, like about 2 months prior to the Comic-Con where they announced Robert Downey Jr. was coming back, and this time was going to be playing Dr. Doom, he did another interview in which he said his tune totally changed.
Right.
He was like, you know what? I find myself really missing Tony and missing that world. It was the best part of my career. I'd never had more fun. If they ever came up with something really good, I'd be open to it.
Which they had already and had
Which they clearly already
way
done.
in advance. They had already known. Yeah,
They already knew it.
he was planting seeds.
But I'm just saying that situation, while not as stark, no pun intended.
There you go.
While not as stark, this kind of reminds me a little bit of that. Like going from a year or two ago, Colter saying, yeah, not for me, to going, well, you know what? I've had conversations. I do love this fan base and I love this world.
Yeah.
I think it's just imminent now.
I wouldn't be shocked if this Comic-Con, he walks out on stage in all H.
not as big as a pop of Robert Downey Jr. coming on stage.
But still a part of something with Daredevil or whatever.
100%.
Yeah.
I think before summer.
Because I think he already knows something.
Yeah, before summer, whether it's at Comic-Con or not.
Yeah.
I think before the end of summer, I should say. Not before summer, but before the end of summer. Before August, ends, we're going to hear that Mike Colter is coming.
Or we're going to find out he's in Brand New Day in some way. I don't know.
Yeah, although that would be a tough one to
tough.
keep under wraps.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe he shot something already. He's definitely not in Avengers or anything like that. But I expect we'll see him back here soon. And you know what? I, for one, welcome our Luke Cagean overlord.
As do
back.
I.
I would love to see him back as Luke Cage. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Luke Cage himself, Mike Colter, is spilling that, I've already had conversations, and is now speaking much more warmly about the possibilities of coming back, which is a stark difference to what he was saying like a little over a year ago. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. That down. Let's move on to this, shall we? Look, it's not a big surprise to anybody to say that streaming is taking over, right? I mean, we all know that streaming is becoming more and more at the forefront of TV usage. Jonathan, we did a story a few months ago about a recent study that came out that for the first time ever, people using their televisions to watch streaming content actually beat out by like 0.5% at the time. People using their televisions to watch traditional cable.
Cable, right.
And it's only been growing in that way. Well, now this really interesting story came out. This is in the Hollywood Reporter saying Christmas Day, December 25th, was the biggest single streaming day ever for streaming. The single most stream used day in history. Now they write this. With 3 streaming exclusive NFL games, because remember on Christmas Day, all the NFL games were all streamed.
Right.
And the second part of Stranger Things' final season debuting, Christmas Day 2025 marked an all-time high in streaming usage. Nielsen said that streamers logged 55.1 billion minutes on streaming services on Christmas Day, breaking the previous high set on Christmas of 2024 by 3.9 billion minutes. That amounts to 54% of all TV use during the day on Christmas. Also an all-time high for streaming services. The huge day on Christmas, plus another day, December 13th, when it had more than half of all TV use, helped push streaming to its highest monthly usage in Nielsen Gauge snapshot for December. Anyway, it just goes on and on and on with these massive moments.
Right.
So you had Stranger Things dropped its second batch of episodes on that day, which was huge. And then, of course, you had the NFL games, plus everything else going on.
Yeah, you have your traditional, people are going to watch their Christmas movies or, like things like that. So they're at home with their families, of course. It makes sense.
Now, also, I want to point this out. Look at this number. Cable that day, as I lose my spot, cable was at 20.2% of TV usage. That's dropping a lot.
Yeah.
And so instead of gathering around, turning on CBS to watch Alistair's Christmas Carol, they're watching Stranger Things or they're watching NFL football. All right. I got 2 takeaways from this. Takeaway number 1 is obvious. Takeaway number 2 is one that I think a lot of people don't like to acknowledge, but is true. Takeaway number 1, obviously streaming just continues to grow. Just continues to grow and grow and grow and dominate and dominate and dominate. And we've been asking for years, and it's not about to go away anytime in the next 24 months, but it leaves us asking, what is the actual future of traditional broadcast television at this point? Again, it's not going to be gone this year. It's not going to be gone next year, but long term, it really does raise the question as you see that scale weighting more and more and more, especially on big holidays where people are at home. Instead of tuning into cable television, they're watching streaming. Right. What is the future of traditional cable stuff? But the second observation I take away from this is the one that a lot of people don't like to talk about or acknowledge, but it's true. The last piece of the puzzle, and we said this about 2 years ago, the last piece of the puzzle to really cement streaming's absolute complete dominance over cable television is sports. It's sports, guys. I know not everybody who watches my show is a sports fan like I am, but it is sports.
Yeah.
That is the holy grail for streaming. And as we've started to see, it's not a coincidence that the momentum in the ever-growing dominance of streaming really picked up a lot once some live sports started coming over to streaming. And it's on all of them. Paramount's got live sports. Peacock's got live sports. Apple, Disney, Netflix, they all have it now. And so that is becoming the last big major hurdle. And these numbers, because listen, I'm sure a lot of people tuned in to watch those episodes of Stranger Things, but I guarantee you the vast lion's share of those numbers were people watching football, not Stranger Things. So it's just a couple of things we take away from that. Yeah. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Apparently, December 25th, just a couple of weeks ago, was the biggest day of streaming in the history of streaming. And a lot of that had to do with football. Anyway, what's your takeaways from that? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, guys, we got a whole bunch of stuff still to cover here today. But one of the guys, one of my dearest friends in this space, Kristian Harloff, when I did the expansion of AMC Movie News, because remember, it started out as a really small crew. Once I started the big expansion of it, one of the very first guys I invited to come and join us over there was our friend Kristian Harloff over at the Kristian Harloff Show. And he was kind enough to join me for a few minutes yesterday to talk about some things going on in the industry. Here's our conversation. Okay, so Kristian, Avatar, Fire and Ash just crossed $1.3 billion. That's all three of them have gone over 1.3. It's one of the highest grossing films of 2025, but it's still quite a long way away from that $2 billion mark that the other films did. How should Disney feel about the results they're getting from Avatar, Fire and Ash? And do you think it's going to have any impact at all about whether they do or do not do Avatar 4 or Avatar 5?
Well, I definitely think it's going to have an impact on whether or not they do 4 and 5, because I think it really comes down to James Cameron. I think when James Cameron's been talking about this in general, he's like, I don't know if we hit the numbers that we hit, we'll see if we do another one. AKA, I'm exhausted. And I think the pressure of having to now worry about $2 billion every time he makes a movie. I think that they're disappointed with the overall numbers, because internationally it's still made almost $1 billion and will cross $1 billion. But domestically, I think the magic is wearing off for some people. I think the hardcore base is still there. I'll see 7,000 of these movies. I love them. But I think that the magic trick for a lot of people is like, yeah, I've seen it. It looks real cool. Unless there's some really good take that takes them into the fourth one. I think if they hit 1.7, which I don't think is happening, but if they do hit that 1.7, I think that's enough to go, all right, let's go with 4. I think if it's a 1.5, it's that fighter that got into the ring, had one more decent fight, but don't get into the ring again because you don't want to get knocked out.
All right, we'll move on to the Academy Awards, because we've got the announcements are coming up pretty soon. We're getting closer to the ceremony, of course, biggest day in the world of movies. Obviously, we've got a number of front runners in here. One Battle After Another has been a front runner the whole time. Marty Supreme's kind of become one of those front runners. Sinners seems to be a bit of a fan favorite. What are the films you're looking at right now heading into the Oscars, particularly when they announce nominations? Who do you see getting some of the big ones? Who do you see as the front runners right now?
If we're looking at just Best Picture, I mean, I would tell you, I think One Battle is a lock to get nominated. Obviously,
for sure.
I think it's one of the few locks for wins. I would have told you Marty Supreme had a good shot a couple of months ago, but now I think everything's just pointed towards that. I do think Marty Supreme will be nominated. I think Sinners will be nominated. I think Hamnet will be nominated. But I don't think anybody's going to, I think it's going to be one of those movies. PTA will win Best Director. This will win Best Picture. One Battle will win Best Picture. But I think that overall the locks are that. I think Jessie Buckley is a lock for Best Actress. And maybe Timothée Chalamet now is a lock for Best Actor.
All right, let's move on to this. A lot of stuff surrounding Kathleen Kennedy right now, but one of the interesting things came out the day before she's stepping down, which was talking about Indiana Jones. And she made the comment saying, Indiana Jones will never be done. And she pointed out that her and Steven Spielberg and Harrison Ford and George Lucas can still make another one, but that they don't think there's going to be interest to make another one for a while. Do you think they will at some point, with or without Harrison Ford, make more Indiana Jones? Is that the smart move to do? What do you think she meant by it?
What's one of the main things that Kathleen Kennedy talked about inside of that interview when she was leaving? She talked about her next gig in AI. Eventually, whether you like it or not, with signing off and permission, things like that could happen. So without significantly saying, we're going to do an AI Harrison Ford technology ready to go, that is a possibility, because she said to do it responsibly in her, in her exit interview, to do it responsibly, to do it. It'll cause a thing. People will bitch about it, but it will potentially happen. The way I think Indiana Jones should not die is you could do animated films. I know there was something that they were going to do with animated. It got squashed. If you played that last game and I forget the actor's name who does the voice, and he nails it. You could, and that video game captured the spirit of Indiana Jones way more than it's the most Indiana Jones since Last Crusade. And if you did things like that, with that tone, you could do Indiana Jones. But I think moving forward, 100% Indiana Jones is. I don't think she was lying. I think it's going to happen. 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, it'll happen.
All right. Well, I would be remiss before I let you go if I didn't ask you about this. I mean, obviously, we're talking about Kathleen Kennedy. And of course, the big news of the past week was that, the clock had finally run out. She's finally leaving Lucasfilm as the president there. But I'm more curious about your feelings on her handpicked successors, Lin-Wyn Brennan and Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni being the name that most people will be familiar with, of course, being appointed as the co-leaders now of Lucasfilm. As a lifelong hardcore founding member of Jedi Council that you are, how are you feeling about, this appointment, the pros, the cons, the positivity, the skepticism? What are you feeling right now?
It's so funny because I don't know if you and I have talked about this.
We haven't chatted about it yet. No.
Not about this, because when you go back in time and look at our conversations when it came to Filoni, we had very different opinions back then. So I'm curious to where you land today. Let's say that let's start with Brennan. I think it's a brilliant move to have her in that role. I think what she has done so far for them on that executive side, the business side of things, clearly she has a track record that this is the type of person that has been following Kathleen Kennedy, watching these creative decisions through Lucasfilm. She's got the experience, so it makes sense. As I'd mentioned to you earlier, right beforehand, that we used to have different opinions on Filoni. I think it's the wrong choice to have him as a creative head. I think it is I don't think he has the experience. I think he's too caught up in the Filoni universe. I don't think he makes the galaxy bigger. I'm a New York Giants fan, John, and
you poor soul. You poor soul.
100%. We've been having some.
Congratulations on Harbaugh, by the way, though.
So you're furthering my point, right here. I've been waiting for a new coach. I've been waiting for a new direction in the team. Doesn't mean I'm not a Giants fan anymore when the team's doing bad. It just means, when are we getting a new coach? Well, we have a new coach in Star Wars. Is he the right guy? Is he the Harbaugh? Not for me yet, but he clearly knows Star Wars. He clearly loves Star Wars. He wants to make the best of it. I just don't. People have been comparing this to like the Gunn and Safran thing. I can't compare that yet because Gunn had way more experience than Dave Filoni. And that was always where our difference came back in the day, to which I agree with you kind of wholeheartedly now, that the experience just isn't there for this type of responsibility, in my opinion. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope he is the guy, and I hope that the first project that he does, which will be after Starfighter, I hope that we can have another conversation and I can say to you, you know what? Boy, was I wrong. This guy just won a championship with Star Wars, and they haven't had a championship in a long time.
Well, listen, Kristian, thank you so much for your time. I'm not going to lie. I miss talking movies with you.
Same.
We got to have you back on here again soon to do this again. Thanks again, man.
Yeah. Thanks, brother.
All right. That was Kristian Harloff. Make sure you check him out, of course, on the Kristian Harloff Show. Always good to have him back, and you'll see him in here again in the future, and appreciate the time and the conversation with him. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this, shall we? I was just asking Kristian about, what movies he's keeping his eyes on going into the Oscars. And tomorrow, Jonathan, the Academy Awards announced the nominees. It's going to be early tomorrow morning, so we're going to have them by the time we do the show.
We
tomorrow.
always look forward to these times of the year. It's
I
like,
love this.
Yeah.
Love this.
Yeah.
Love the day they announce the Oscars. That's coming tomorrow. So I've had a whole bunch of people asking me about, what do I think are going to be the 10?
Yeah.
The 10. The 10 movies that get the ultimate prize, a nomination for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. So I'm going to give you my 10 in order of likelihood. So like number 1 is going to be the most likely to get the nomination all the way down to 10. Then I'm going to give you 3 outside shots, three other films that have a shot at it. All right. So we're going to start with this. The first film you're going to see get a nomination tomorrow for Best Picture is obviously One Battle After Another. And look, let's be honest. It's most likely going to win. I really don't see it not winning Best Picture. I mean, it's possible, yes, but I'm going to be really surprised if it doesn't. So take it to the bank. One Battle After Another is getting nominated for Best Picture. Secondly, although it pains me to say because I actually didn't like the film, but Marty Supreme is absolutely getting a nomination tomorrow. So you're going to see One Battle After Another get nominated for Best Picture. You're going to see Marty Supreme nominated. And again, one of the best performances, maybe the best performance we've gotten out of Timothée Chalamet. By the way, he's probably a lock to win Best Actor.
Yeah, I think so.
And I loved his performance. And I just didn't really like the movie, but it is getting nominated. So I've got that at number 2. Number 3, my favorite film of the year, Sinners. Sinners is absolutely getting nominated for Best Picture tomorrow. I can't imagine a reality in which it doesn't. Again, I don't think it's going to win, but I do have it in the top 3, so it's got an outside shot. I still think it's going to be One Battle After Another, but my favorite film of the year, Sinners, is getting nominated. The 4th film, I think you can take to the bank getting nominated tomorrow, was one of the most emotionally moving and beautiful films I've seen all year, Hamnet. It just ultimately... It was one of those films that for the first couple of bits of it, I'm like, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening? And then it gets into the third act and I'm like, oh my God, it all pays off. It's so beautiful. And it's one of those films that Academy members really, really love. You're going to see Hamnet get one of those 10 Best Picture nominations. The 5th film that's going to get it, and I remember I got floored. I was enamored with this the first time they showed us a preview for it. It was Just an Accident. Now, not a big box office film. Not a ton of people saw it.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people like reading subtitles, but a moving story about morality, revenge, crossing lines, all that kind of stuff. And again, just one of those films. Every year it seems like the Oscars get at least one foreign film they really, really fall in love with. I think this is that one. So it was Just an Accident at number 5. At number 6, my second favorite Guillermo del Toro film of all time.
Really? Okay. I didn't know that.
Frankenstein. Yeah, it was almost my number 1, but the more and more I thought about it, I still think that it just needed that little bit more to overtake Pan's Labyrinth for me. But it is my second favorite one he's ever done.
I wrestle between Pan's Labyrinth and Shape of Water.
Oh, I mean, Shape of Water was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was great. I love seeing women make out with fishmen. It just really scratches that itch. But I mean, yeah, Frankenstein, I loved it, man. I love Frankenstein. So that is taking the 6th spot. The 7th spot. Maybe overall, the best acted movie of the year. Like, it's not going to get Best Actress and it's not going to get Best Actor. But just overall in its totality, maybe the best overall ensemble performance of the year. Sentimental Value.
Yeah, but certainly Best Actor, Actress nominations probably.
Yeah, nominations are coming.
Yeah.
Nominations are coming.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you just looked at the whole cast, the level of all of them was just so beautifully acted. Anyway, it's a gem. It's going to get nominated. All right, now we get into the 8, 9, and 10. And the 3, this is where it gets a little bit more precarious.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the 3 I've put in the 8, 9, and 10 spots. And then I'm going to mention the 3 that could replace these 3.
All right.
All right. So the 8, 9, and 10, I'm going to go my number 8 spot. I'm going to say F1 gets a Best Picture nomination. It's got that same kind of Top Gun Maverickishness to it. I mean, obviously directed by the same guy.
Right.
But it's a big crowd pleaser. It did really well at the box office for what it was. And beautifully acted. great performance, thrilling movie. I'm going to say that F1 gets one of those final 3 spots. My number 9 films that are going to get nominated tomorrow for Best Picture of the Year. Weapons. Man, I knew we were in for something good with this movie, but even I wasn't prepared for how good it would be. This was a movie that just haunted me, made me think about it for days after I watched it. It's absolutely incredible. Yeah. I think Weapons is getting one of those spots.
Incidentally, when I go on jogs now, I run just like that. Just to freak people out a little bit.
Every once in a while, Anne, like if I lose her in an department store or something or in a Best Buy, she'll come running around the corner like that just to freak me out. So anyway. And then my last spot is going to be a movie I wasn't looking forward to, but it was such a big improvement over this team's last effort, Begonia. Again, this director and this lead actress, they knocked it out of the park with Poor Things. Love that film. I think that got Emma one of her Academy Awards.
Mm-hmm.
But then they followed it up with Kinds of Kindness. And look, I'll just say it. That movie sucked. That was a terrible movie. That was not an enjoyable experience watching that movie. So I thought it was a bit of a coin toss going into Begonia. Do I think it's like one of the top best films of the year? No. But do I think it can get that 10th spot? I do. So that means in my 8, 9, and 10 spot, I've got F1, Weapons, and Begonia. Now, I'm going to mention 3 other films that could all replace those 3, or maybe 1 or 2 could pop up into those bottom 3 spots. Those films are Train Dreams, which just got a lot of Golden Globe love, Jay Kelly with The Clune and Adam Sandler, and The Secret Agent, which also just got a lot of award season love. So like Train Dreams, Jay Kelly, and The Secret Agent could all replace F1, Weapons, and Begonia, or 1 or 2 of them could replace 1 or 2. Like I feel really good about my top 7. Those are locks.
Those are definitely locks.
100% locks. Like One Battle, Marty Supreme, Sinners, Hamnet, It Was Just an Accident, Frankenstein's Sentimental Value. Take it to the bank. Those ones are getting 7 of the nominations. But then those last 3 spots, I'm going to go with F1, Weapons, and Begonia, but don't be shocked if any of those 3 or all of them are replaced with Train Dreams, Jay Kelly, and Secret Agent. So do you think I'm leaving anything out there, Jonathan, that maybe I should be considering, or do you think that pretty much covers all the bases?
It's a pretty solid list. I do feel like I understand where you're coming from with F1. I think it does get bumped by either Train Dreams or the Secret Agent. Here's kind of what I feel like, what I'd like to end up seeing. This one's Best Picture, One Battle After Another. Best Actor for Marty Supreme going to Timothée Chalamet.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I want to see Best Director going to Ryan Coogler for Sinners.
I would give it to Ryan Coogler, but I'm telling you, it's going to Anderson.
So you think he's pulling both?
I think it's going to win Best Picture. I don't think it's going to be a big Oscar sweep for it, but yeah, I think it's going to get Best Picture and Best Director. Although again, for me, my choices would be Ryan Coogler. I loved One Battle After Another. Don't get me wrong. I loved it. And I'll have no problem if it wins. But my personal votes would be for Sinners for Best Picture and for Ryan Coogler for Sinners.
I think if there's a dark horse, okay, I'm kind of going off topic here, not in terms of Best Picture, but in terms of a Best Actor or Actress, the dark horse, it wouldn't be an upset because they were wonderful performances, would be, why am I drawing a blank on this one right here?
Fanning?
Yeah, Fanning.
Oh, she's getting nominated.
And could be, and I don't say upset like I'd be upset about it, but like a dark horse winning.
Well, guys, there you have it. We're getting the awards. We're getting the Oscar nominations all tomorrow, which we will cover in depth, of course. But there are my predictions for the 10 films that you're going to hear nominated. Do your predictions match mine? Do you have some changes in them? Whatever your prediction list looks like, go ahead and leave it down in the comments section below. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we?
Always fun.
Always fun talking about Warner Brothers acquisition. Now Paramount has been going after it hard, extremely hard, as a matter of fact, so hard that now David Ellison is traveling around the world trying to convince local governments to try to kibosh the deal of Netflix taking over Warner Brothers. But Paramount is still in the fight. But something that's kind of interesting, as I was going through, I do a lot of investing.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I subscribe to a number of investing websites and things like that. There's a really interesting story in there, in one of them, in one of the sites I go to called Tip Ranks, with Paramount Skydance, PSKY. You can see it here.
Oh, there we go.
Down over 30%. As a matter of fact, it's even more than that. It's almost 40%.
Mm-hmm.
Skydance's value, or Paramount's value in the stock market, has dropped nearly 40% since they decided to try to take over Warner Brothers, since they announced officially 3 months ago. In the last 3 months, Paramount's value, its stock price, has dropped nearly 40%, 38% the last time I checked, has dropped. Now, I don't think that's just because they're going after Warner Brothers. I think there's other issues. I mean, we all knew even before the Ellisons took over Paramount, Paramount's got some issues. Right. So we understand that.
There's the whole reason Skydance purchased it.
Yep. And so you can't just say that nearly 40% drop in value over the past 3 months is just because of their pursuit of Warner Brothers. But it's a big part. It's a big part. A lot of their own investors don't like the idea that they're going after Warner Brothers. A lot of them don't like it. Because a lot of them, and I would say myself as well, as somebody who kind of hates what Paramount's doing, but I still have optimism and hope for Paramount as a studio in and of itself, I think it raises a big question, which is your stock value has dropped nearly 40%. And by the way, let's take a second here. I want to read through. This is the upcoming 2026. The upcoming 2026. If I can find it here, I lost it. Yeah, I lost my place. Hold on a second. The 2026. See if I can bring my notes up again. Paramount theatrical releases coming up. Okay. Paramount has an absolutely pathetic 2026 coming up. A couple of movies in here that even I'm interested in, but overall, not a great thing. I think one of your biggest ones is Scream 7, but we all know that's not going to be a huge at the box office. Right. None of them are. So you got Scream 7, you got Scary Movie 6, you got Paw Patrol, the Dino movie, Jackass 5, Street Fighter. There's a couple of others in there, but that's your slate.
These are all genre films for the most part, and some animation.
That's your slate.
I mean, we coming off the fact that we were very excited about the acquisition of Skydance just because of the announcements that they were making and the direction they wanted to take. It really is poor timing that their slate is suffering. They're riddled with debt because they picked up Paramount Pictures because of that reason. Yeah. It was a relatively cheap buy within the industry. And now you're saying, well, this is our slate. And we're really obsessed, like Kylo Ren, more trying to take over another studio that doesn't want you.
But look, here's the thing to me. This is what the big bottom line standout number one item is for me in this. In the midst of you having a really pathetic overall slate. Again, there are a couple of films in there that I'm a little bit interested in. By the way, they have another film coming out in 2026 called Passenger, I think it is, that I just saw a trailer for in front of Primate, and it looks pretty cool. I'll be honest with you. It looks pretty cool.
I mean, not Passenger 57, right?
No, it's no Passenger 57, but I mean Passenger. So like they've got a couple in there that I'm intrigued by, you know, Street Fighter and whatever. A couple I'm intrigued by.
That's going up against, you know,
overall weak slate.
Yeah.
And with that and the value dropping by nearly 40%, to me, the one big takeaway, the highlight, the message in all this is, hey, David Ellison, instead of taking your sorry ass on your private jet and flying around the world trying to drum up support to get the girl who rejected you to go to prom with you. Instead of doing all this about they're trying to pursue Warner Brothers, why don't you fucking turn your eyes to your own building? Shouldn't your focus right now be about 40% falling stock prices?
Yeah.
Shouldn't your focus right now be the fact that you've got, out of all the major studios, by far the weakest slate coming out in 2026? And I say that with due respect, saying a couple of those look kind of interesting, but like, I can't wait to watch Jackass 5, but it ain't going to make $700 million. No. Like, instead of doing all this nonsense and pouting that you got rejected and threatening lawsuits and like trying to do lawsuits and all this kind of nonsense, you haven't shown anybody that you can even run this studio. You haven't shown anything that you can even remotely be competent enough to run Paramount. And I've got some faith. I've got some optimism that you can. But maybe instead of doing all that, you should be thinking about making Paramount a functioning, working, profitable studio who's putting out film slates that you can be proud of and the audiences want to go see. Call me crazy, but you don't even have your house in order. Why don't you do that and turn your attention there? Because I'll tell you what, you got nothing coming out in 2026 that's moving the needle. Nothing.
No.
And I don't blame you for that. You just took over the company a number of months ago, but I mean, it just kind of highlights the point that you need to turn your attention to Paramount and not worry so much about Warner Bros.
And look what's happening even on the network side. CBS, the ratings have slipped. They're bleeding viewership. I mean,
to be fair, though, most traditional broadcast networks are.
Yeah, but there's a reason why CBS is bleeding
More.
that I won't get into, but let's face it, and I don't think this is a great time to be going over to world leaders asking for support. Like, no. I just think that had they come in, they legitimately had the best offer. Warner Brothers said Paramount wins, Skydance wins. The narrative around this whole thing would have been different because we still would have been like, cool. Obviously, they came in with the strongest offer. They have great plans for Paramount. Let's support this. They love movies. This is going to be great. The narrative has shifted greatly. Yeah. And now it's like, what is happening with you, man?
Yeah, because remember, even myself, I was like, when they first announced that Paramount was going after Warner Bros., I'm like, you know what?
I was like,
They just got Paramount, but there's some possibilities here. This could be good.
Agreed.
And then they lost. Fair enough. Netflix beat them out. And ever since then, they've acted like petulant children and really turned me off. And I've had insiders who work at Paramount tell me that the general feeling around Paramount is that David Ellison is humiliating the company. He's humiliating the company. And that comes to me directly from people who work at Paramount. And so, anyway, guys.
I was also just going to say it doesn't help your public relations right now going into the fact that we are going into negotiations again with the industry, that if Paramount were to take over Warner Brothers, that will result in thousands of jobs lost.
Tens of thousands of jobs lost. So anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Latest numbers coming out showing that Paramount, just in their last 3 months, has dropped almost 40%, around the 38% mark. Their value has dropped as they continue to be laser focused on trying to get the girl who rejected them. It's dumbfounding to me. Anyway, whatever your guys' take on this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Dean Talks Movies in the live chat is saying Jackass 7 starring David Ellison. I'm David Ellison.
Yeah, and this is Jackass. Maybe they'll just shoot him out of a cannon or something. I don't know.
All right. Anyway, guys, listen, we still have a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going into hour number 2 now on the show, and we've got a number of things to talk about, including movie theaters actually getting upgraded by Wall Street. We're going to talk about that. Netflix has officially changed their offer for Warner Brothers, and we've got a vote date for the shareholders. And Dune 3 has won the first battle against Avengers Doomsday. We're going to talk about that and a few things more. But first, there's a bunch of other stuff going on in the world of entertainment that we don't have time to talk about here on the show in depth, but we want to make sure you're caught up to speed. So this is a little segment we often do called In Other News. First up, Warner Brothers Pictures Animation is officially moving forward with a standalone animated Speedy Gonzales movie, and they've tapped acclaimed filmmaker Jorge R. Gutierrez to direct it. Gutierrez, best known for his film The Book of Life, brings a bold visual style and deep cultural perspective that the studio hopes will reintroduce the Looney Tunes icon to modern audiences while honoring his legacy. Speedy Gonzales, often nicknamed the fastest mouse in all of Mexico, has been a beloved but controversial character over the years due to concerns about cultural stereotypes. Previous attempts to make a feature film stalled, including versions in the 2010s with other talent attached. This new project has now been greenlit, though plot details, writers, and cast have not yet been revealed. Next up, the Lord of the Rings trilogy is proving that epic stories still draw audiences to theaters even 25 years later. To celebrate the anniversary of Peter Jackson's landmark films, Warner Brothers and Fathom Event Entertainment re-released the extended editions in cinemas worldwide this past weekend, and the event has been incredibly successful. Early results show that the trilogy's anniversary run has grossed around $11 million globally, signaling enthusiastic fan interest and solid turnout across multiple markets. All three films, The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, The Return of the King, returned to screens in a limited but expanding engagement, with theaters adding more and more showings to meet the demand. This renewed theatrical push just underscores not just nostalgia for Tolkien's world, but the enduring power of these classic films to draw crowds decades after their original release. Next up, and this one's funny, apparently Matthew McConaughey annoyed his True Detective co-star Woody Harrelson so much on set that he constantly wanted to punch him in the face. Recently, on Where Everybody Knows Your Name podcast, Harrelson opened up about working with longtime friend Matthew McConaughey on the first season of HBO's True Detective, and admitted that McConaughey's method acting drove him so pissed at times. Harrelson said McConaughey stayed fully in character as Rust throughout much of the filming, which made scenes tense and even led Harrelson to joke that he wanted to punch him because it was hard to bounce off him in a more playful way. Both actors reflected on how their creative differences played out, with Harrelson initially wanting more moments of levity and McConaughey believing that the strength of the writing and the character work provided humor organically. Now, despite this tension, they both delivered award-nominated performances and remain close friends to this day. The pair are set to reunite in a new Apple TV comedy where they play fictionalized versions of themselves. Next up, hey, it's JJ. JJ Abrams is officially returning to the directing world with a brand new sci-fi adventure called The Great Beyond, and Warner Brothers has set its theatrical and IMAX release dates for November 13th of this year. Now, this marks Abrams' first time in the director's chair since Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker in 2019, something I don't know I will ever forgive him for, and the studio is positioning it as a big late-year tentpole. Now, while plot details are still largely under wraps, The Great Beyond stars Glenn Powell, Jenna Ortega, and Samuel L. Jackson. The project was previously known by a working title called Ghost Rider. Warner Brothers' announcement also ties this release into a broader slate of major films, signaling confidence in Abrams' return to the high-profile sci-fi epic. And finally, Amazon Video's highly anticipated live-action adaptation of the God of War video game franchise, which I cannot wait for, is expanding its cast with a major new addition. Teresa Palmer, best known for her roles in Warm Bodies and I Am Number 4, has been cast as Sif, who is Thor's wife and a figure tied to family and mythic loyalty. Palmer joins the previously announced Sons of Anarchy alumnus Ryan Hurst, who headlines the series as Kratos, the Davidic warrior turned father whose journey with his son Atreus forms the emotional core of the story. The God of War series adapts the Norse era of the beloved PlayStation titles, focusing on Kratos and his son as they navigate gods, monsters, and family dynamics. With the greatest showrunner of all time, Ronald D. Moore, and a 2-season order already in place, production is gearing up and casting continues to fill out the mythological world around these iconic characters. And that'll do it for In Other News. All right, and that will get you guys all caught up on everything else going on in the world of movie news. And now we move on into hour number 2, because we've got a number of other things to talk to you guys about here today, and we're going to pick things up with this. You know, obviously, not a great time financially to be in the movie theater business. We talked a little while ago about how AMC's stock has just been absolutely crushed. But things might start to be looking better going into 2026. We've talked on the show about the fact that the lineup for 2026 this year, guys, is crazy. Like, so many high-profile films coming out this year that we're dying to watch. Obviously, ending up with Doomsday coming out in December, but a whole ton of films coming out before then. Well, it appears that Wall Street has taken notice and they're upgrading the investment ratings on some movie theaters, including this one coming to us from the Hollywood Reporter saying Cinemark, one of the largest movie theaters in North America, gets Wall Street upgrade on forecast for box office rebound this year. The article goes on to write this. Cinemark has been upgraded to buy from neutral with a $30 price target by Wall Street research firm Motive Nathanson, I hope I'm saying that right, as a new Dune, Spider-Man, and Avengers franchises releases are headed to the multiplex in 2026. The upcoming year is stronger on most dimensions. That's greater strength is borne out by strong early returns for marketing/trailer views, a valuable leading indicator. The analyst Robert Fishman predicted in January on a January 20th investors note titled, "Here Comes the Sluggers." The firm estimated that 7 films will eclipse the $300 million mark. Remember, that's just domestically. Up from 6 in 2025, while 17 films will fall between 100 and 300 million, again, just domestically, up from 13 in 2025. All right. So this is really good news. And the reason why this is really positive is because, yes, for a couple of months now, we've been talking on this show about the fact that 2026 looks really well positioned to rebound at the box office. 2025 was a rough year, but going into the second half of the year, we saw some things start to turn around, which is good, but it needed something bigger. It needs 2026. What's really great about this story is that these indicators are not being given by some movie fan. It's also not being given by somebody who is vested in the movie industry. It's not a movie theater owner saying, we're going to have a much better year in 2026. This is a Wall Street firm saying we are officially upgrading our position on this particular movie theater chain, Cinemark. We're upgrading it and recommending people buy stock in it because we believe this year the stock in it is going to go up because we believe 2026 will be a big rebound year. Now, I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, Jonathan, but like just certain names come to mind. We've got a new Toy Story movie. Right. We got a live action Moana movie coming. Yeah. We got obviously Spider-Man coming. We got Avengers. We've got Dune. But I think we also listed like 5 or 6 other movies that have like billion-dollar potential. Mm-hmm. I can't even remember what half of them were off the top of my head, but there's a whole bunch of them coming. And so, look, I honestly don't think that this is an exaggeration or hyperbole to say 2026 is going to be probably the most important year for the film industry in decades. In decades. They have been really waiting for the true recovery from the double whammy of the pandemic and then the extra kidney shot that got landed by the dual writers and actor strikes. They've been waiting. And 2026, I think, needs to be the year because listen, Jonathan, if we don't see a big rebound, I'm not saying it needs to be the biggest year in box office history. I'm not saying anything like that. But if we don't see that significant rebound this year in 2026 with films like a Spider-Man movie and an Avengers movie.
Minions 3, I think, was the other one.
Minions 3, Toy Story 5, live action Moana, Dune Part 3, on and on and on. Mario Brothers.
Oh, right. Completely forgot.
That's another potential billion-dollar film. Yeah. Project Hail Mary. Mm-hmm. Like, if we don't see a potential bounce back in 2026, and we're predicting there will be, Wall Street is predicting there will be, because if they don't, then I don't know what hope it has.
In a year that we're getting a Nolan film and a Denis Villeneuve film and an Avengers film.
That's right. I didn't even mention Odyssey.
Yeah. And a Star Wars movie, which I get is not going to be $1 billion. I don't think anyone thinks that, but still the content. I mean,
Michael,
they're touching all the bases here. I mean, this has got to be the year.
Yeah. Joseph SFL, just right. The Spielberg film.
Oh, right.
Coming up.
Yeah.
What's that one called again? It's called not Revelation Day. It's called it starts with a D, I think. I'm afraid it's something day.
Disclosure Day.
Disclosure Day. Yeah, we got Disclosure Day coming out.
And then smaller. I say smaller. I think I think Supergirl is going to be great and it's going to do well.
We got Supergirl.
But I don't know that it's going to do
No, it's not all going to be billion-dollar films.
But they're still great.
But
and then
significantly bigger
Clayface.
ones.
I mean, we got stuff that should at least attract a good amount of viewers.
Yeah, and again, I like their projection. Like, they're saying they're expecting 4 or 5 more films this year to fall in that $100 to $300 million earner range,
which is great,
which is significant.
I'd rather see more films finally get to those 250, 350 range, because for so long we've just hitting like 115, 120. It's like, move the needle a little more, because we can't just have the $1 billion films once in a while.
Jackass 5.
Which could be like that could be like 70, 80 mil. But
yeah, I mean, like, hey, listen, I'm going to go see it.
Yeah.
I'm going to see Jackass 5. So anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? It's not just the movie industry itself. Wall Street now seems to be pretty bullish on the box office we're going to have in 2026, highlighting a lot of the big films that are coming. They're expecting a bit of a turnaround. Are they right? We're going to find out. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? We talked about the losers in the scenario, Paramount, but now let's move over and talk about the apparent, at least for now, winners in the Warner Brothers sweepstake, Netflix. You guys might remember that last week a report came out saying that Netflix was looking at changing their offer that had already been accepted, by the way, to sweeten their offer a little bit more by changing it from like 80% cash and 20% in stock, which of course the drawback of getting it in stock is this. If the stock drops before the execution date of the deal, the value you're getting is going to go down.
Right.
Everybody prefers having nice, cold, hard cash. There was a report saying they were looking at doing it. Well, according to this story now in Variety, Netflix has officially done it. Netflix has upgraded their Warner Brothers offer to all cash to shareholders, and the shareholders will vote in April on an $83 billion sale. Now, this is significant for a couple of reasons, because last week when we talked about Netflix maybe upping their deal to all cash, we pointed out that it would allow them to move the investor vote up by several months, because it could have come as late as the end of August, but now that vote's going to come in April. Once the investors vote, because they're the actual owners of the company, the shareholders are the actual owners of the company. Once the shareholders vote and ratify the deal, that will make Paramount's efforts to overturn it or stop it in courts much more difficult. It doesn't kill it. It's not like Paramount doesn't still have a chance. They still do. But it's going to make it that much more difficult, because one of the big arguments Paramount is making against this deal between Netflix and Warner Brothers is they're saying this isn't in the shareholders' best interests. Well, if the shareholders get together and vote and they approve it, that takes away one of the biggest arguments that Paramount has. And it's really only going to leave one avenue left to them, which is cozying up to the person holding their leash and try to get the government to step in to bring legal challenges to Netflix and an antitrust taking over Warner Brothers. But the problem is, let's say you succeed. Let's say Paramount succeeds and gets the government, because everybody knows they do what this particular administration wants them to do to suck up to them. So let's say they succeed and government agencies step in and bring legal filings to stop Netflix from getting Warner Brothers. Okay. But that in and of itself creates a major problem, because it makes them ripe for a lawsuit if Paramount then goes ahead and tries to buy Warner Brothers.
Right.
Netflix, with their army of lawyers, are going to sue the living crap out of the trade commissions, out of Paramount, saying, hey, listen, you stopped our purchase on these grounds. Paramount is another streamer. They're another studio. And by the way, Paramount taking over Warner Brothers is going to lose tens of thousands of people their jobs. You stopped us, but you're letting that go through. It's going to I guarantee you right now, it is going to spark off a massive lawsuit, series of lawsuits. So if Paramount's going to win this thing, I think they need to win it before it gets to that legal stage. I think Paramount's best shot at still winning this is to just simply straight up put together an all cash offer that overcomes some of the shortcomings Warner Brothers sees in their offer and just win it that way. Because yeah, even if they go about trying to get government agencies to block it, and then even if government agencies are successful in front of a court to get them to block it, it then just introduces the possibility, another hurdle for Paramount, because Netflix is going to sue the living shit out of them.
It also buys time, and that's the most crucial thing you can do in these circumstances. And if Paramount's stock is still sliding, what's to say in another 6 to 9 months it's not in a worse state?
You just brought up the next thing I was going to mention. With Paramount, we talked a little bit earlier in the show today about Paramount has lost nearly 40% of their value in the last 3 months alone. One of the reasons Warner Brothers says they're apprehensive about doing a deal with Paramount is they don't really trust the stability of their offer. If Paramount's value continues to slide, it just makes them look worse and worse and worse as a potential purchaser. So this is not over. It is not over. It's just becoming more and more difficult, and Netflix now is making moves to try to make it even more difficult for Paramount. But
and Netflix, actually, as we were talking about this, it's just on my phone, but Netflix posts narrow earnings beat, reports 325 million global subscribers because they just had their quarterly report come out now.
Which is good, because you know what? I should mention this. To be fair, I need to mention this. Paramount's value has dropped nearly 40% in the last 3 months.
Right.
Netflix has dropped too in the last 3 months. They've dropped about 20%, which is half of what Paramount's dropped. But like you just pointed out, they have some positive news and
earnings per
numbers
share
out.
Beat and revenue beat.
That's going to drive their share. Actually, I should buy some Netflix stock today.
Probably.
That's probably going to drive their shares up. Anyway, guys, whatever you think about this whole thing, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. Mark it on your calendars, guys. Doomsday is coming. And it's not just us fans calling December 18th the day that both Avengers Doomsday and Dune Part 3 come out in theaters on the same day. It's not just us calling it Doomsday. We've got Robert Downey Jr. and Timothée Chalamet now referring to it as Doomsday and promoting it and pushing it, all that kind of stuff. We're going to do a topic tomorrow, Jonathan. We'll wait till Rob's back for this. We're going to have a little discussion tomorrow on whether or not we think December 18th may be the biggest single day in box office history. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But
that's a great topic.
It's going to be big. But one of the questions that's kind of been floating out there, a lot of fans have asked, a lot of people in our own live chat have asked, is who gets the IMAX screens? Because as we've seen the last couple of years, while there's only a finite number of IMAX screens, they do contribute a lot to the box office. Those are like premium choice things that the audiences are looking at first.
Right.
Because like even when Sinners was out, Sinners didn't break all-time box office records anywhere. But oh my God, there was a period of time, Jonathan, that if you wanted to go see Sinners in IMAX, you were having to book your tickets like 2 weeks in advance.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's just the draw of IMAX screens. So the big question has been, a lot of people have been asking, who's getting the IMAX screens? Well, now we know who it is. And the first round of the battle between Avengers Doomsday and Dune 3 goes to Dune.
Whoa.
Because according to reports, Dune is getting those IMAX screens. And they're getting them exclusively for the first 3 weeks.
That's huge.
This comes to us from the folks at Joe Blow. While most people assume Avengers Doomsday will inevitably outgross Dune Part 3, and of course it will. Of course it will. Avengers will make more money overall, obviously. Villeneuve's sequel has something Disney doesn't: exclusive access to IMAX screens. Despite expectations that Doomsday would follow recent MCU entries with a major IMAX rollout, it appears that Dune Part 3, shot extensively with IMAX cameras, has reportedly secured a 3-week IMAX exclusivity window. That is a significant win for Warner Brothers. IMAX has steadily grown in popularity, and an IMAX release isn't just about ticket premiums. It adds cultural cachet and reinforces a film's must-see status. Now look, I have very little to no doubt that Avengers is clearly going to make more money that opening weekend, like by far. Like I don't think, I've never thought that the Dune franchise is $1 billion franchise. Go back all the way before the first Dune movie came out. I told people this is higher concept, thinking man sci-fi. It's not for everybody. Dune will never be a $1 billion franchise. That's fine. They make the best movies, but they're not $1 billion franchises. So I have no doubt that Avengers is going to make more money. But I'll tell you what, Jonathan, I don't think this is a small thing.
No.
Like Dune landing those for 3 weeks, which is by far when a movie makes most of its money, is those first 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I think that will shorten that gap. Like the gap between how much Avengers is going to make on Doomsday and how much Dune is going to make on Doomsday. I think that gap has shrunk. I mean, Avengers is still going to come out on top by a very safe margin.
Sure.
Very safe cushion. But how much of a cushion I think is going to be changed, because I think they're right in the article. Today, like, number one, when people are going out to the movies, they're picking the movie they want to see. But they also want to go watch movies in IMAX. And the fact that Doomsday, or Dune Part 3, I should say,
Yeah, right.
is for the first 3 weeks, that's it. First 21 days, that Doomsday is going to be out in theaters. If you want to go see a movie in IMAX, you ain't going to see Avengers.
That's pretty crazy that it's not just a 2-week window, it's a 3-week window, because that means Avengers doesn't get it till week 4. I mean, that's...
And by the way, by week 4, does IMAX want to put Avengers that's in its 4th week? And let's listen, I'm sure it's still making money at that point, but going into its 4th week, its big money-making era is done. Is IMAX even going to put Avengers, or is there another movie coming along? I should have looked at the calendar. I didn't. Is there another movie coming along that IMAX is then going to put on those screens? So it could be a possibility here. I'm not saying this is locked.
Yeah.
But it could be a possibility that you won't get to see Avengers Doomsday on an IMAX screen.
That makes me think that something like Dolby Cinema will be exclusively Avengers.
Could be. So because, listen, there are other PFL screen, premium format, large PLF, I should say,
right.
premium large format screens. You got AMC Dolby, which is a premium screen. You got the now,
Regal, I can't remember the name of it, but
no, it's not 4DX. Maybe it's 4DX. Anyway.
No, it's something else.
Right. You've got AMC also now has their XD screens to compete with IMAX. Cinemark's RPX. Somebody said that. You got ScreenX, you've got Cinemark HD or XD, I think. You've got, so there's other large, premium large format screens. There are. But the crown jewel is the IMAX.
I do feel like something with Nolan and Villeneuve, though, you almost expect their films on IMAX. And I know Avengers, people are going to say the same, but those two directors specifically, you know it's coming in IMAX. So they probably already have pre-existing deals.
And now, look, I'll be honest with you. I'm looking more forward to Avengers, I think. Because, listen, I think Dune 2, I stand by this. I'll argue anybody about it. I think Dune 2 is the best movie, period, in the last 10 years. I really do. But I have some apprehensions about the source material going into Dune 3. I'm not the biggest fan of Dune Messiah. I'm not the biggest fan of the source material. So I have some, so I am more looking forward to Avengers.
Right.
I am.
I am too.
That said, if you ask me, I've got a choice of watching either Avengers Doomsday on an IMAX screen or Dune and Arrakis on an IMAX screen. Oh, 10 times out of 10, I'm taking Dune on the IMAX screen.
I've already planned it out. Like I was before this news weeks ago, I had already decided I'm doing Dolby Cinema for Avengers, and I'm going to go to the Chinese theater IMAX screen
good choice.
For Dune 3.
Good choice.
Because I love that IMAX screen.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
That one down there is out. By the way, the one at the Universal City Walk is also a really
But there's just something so regal about the Chinese theater and historic.
100%. I love that there. But yeah, I would take watching Dune on the IMAX screen. So I think it's good. I'm just stunned. What I really thought was, I thought they would do a dual engagement. I thought you would see half IMAX screens go to Dune, half IMAX screens go to Avengers, or at most, like Dune getting a 1 week window, then Avengers could come in and have the second week. I really thought that the fact that they've got the first 3 weeks, that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
I wonder if it's an overall deal with Warner Brothers.
It could be an overall deal with Warner Brothers, an advanced deal with Denis Villeneuve. I mean, who knows? But in the question that everybody's asking, who's getting the IMAX screens? Round 1 goes to Dune. It's getting all the IMAX screens for a 3-week window when Doomsday comes out on December 18th. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Were you maybe looking forward to seeing Avengers on an IMAX screen? There's still plenty of other PLF screens out there that you can go see it on. Does this maybe change your order plans for what you might want to go see first? Maybe you were planning on seeing Avengers first, but hey, if Dune's getting the IMAX screens, maybe you want to go to see that first. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With all that down and out of the way, let's now move on. That was a busy lineup.
That was a busy lineup.
Let's now go on and talk about the most important things, your topics and questions that you guys have sent in using our super chat feature. Of course, we turned off our super chats a while ago, but we did have a bunch of them come in. By the way, we got to get caught up on a couple that came in yesterday.
Yep.
So Jonathan, what do we got up first?
Amin starts us off. What are the chances we have a strike this year?
I think, listen, everything's possible, of course, but there is no way that either the unions or the producers are going to allow a strike to happen.
I just don't think you get the votes.
You kill the industry.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. We're in recovery mode now.
Yeah.
But the last 1-2 punch of pandemic with the strikes nearly destroyed everything. And by the way, well, I'm not going to go into that right now. It's just that everybody knows a strike would not be good for anybody. The studios know it. The unions know it. So I don't think there's any way in hell those two sides let a strike happen. So I'm going to say no chance.
Yeah.
At least I really
I don't think you have the votes to even.
It's war games. It's Matthew Broderick war games.
Yeah.
It's mutually assured destruction if you allow us, if you guys have a strike. So I don't think there's any chance there's going to be a strike. All right, what's next?
Vika says, when we think of Cruise, we think action, DiCaprio, Day-Lewis, drama, Carey, comedy. I mean, there's exceptions, but yes, who comes to mind for all? Not just good at everything, but exceptional. So action, drama, and comedy.
Man, who's somebody that's done?
The Rock has touched on him, but exceptional, I don't know.
I mean, hey, listen. Dwayne Johnson got into the award season conversation for his performance in Smash Machine. He got a Golden Globe nomination, and he got nominated in a number of other of the awards things.
Well, I'll tell you the other the fighter,
Who's that?
Drax. Why can't I think of his name right now?
Dave Bautista?
Batista's touching that.
Yep, he's got to be in the hands of the right director.
Yes.
Because like with James Gunn, he can do great at comedy. But when he did Stuber and what was the one called where he was like the FBI agent? He has to guard the little girl.
Oh yeah.
Oh, like in the hands of the wrong director. I don't know that he does comedy. So, and I love Dave, by the way. I love Dave Bautista.
Oh. Someone just said Ryan Gosling, and I don't disagree.
Oh, there it is. That's it. Yeah, brilliant. Who said Ryan Gosling?
Yeah, who is it? I'm going to find you guys.
Harfsk 4181.
Yeah.
Said Ryan. That's 100% it. That's it. He can do action. I mean, see Fall Guy. He can do comedy. See Barbie. He can do drama. What's it called? Beyond the Pines.
A list of drama.
He can do it all. I think that's it.
And the reason why we're saying these, because I'm assuming, I mean, yeah, someone said like Bruce Willis, but we're not talking about past actors. We're talking about current right now.
Yeah.
So.
All right. What's next?
Jerry. Hi, John and crew is a possible, I've never understood this term, but soft reboot of the MCU. Which actors would you like to see play the OG3?
I'm not going to do X actor and X roles. And that is you raise a good point.
Like, I understand what they mean on the surface, but I don't.
But do we? Because here's the thing. To me, it's kind of like the word spoiler. Soft reboot. If you have 10 people say the phrase soft reboot, they mean 10 different things. There's no real the definition of soft reboot is really nebulous.
Because even if what he's implying recasting, that's not a reboot. You're just recasting the actor. It's the same person, same character.
Well, and that's maybe one thing that you're kind of restarting a thing. You're saying it. I mean, so it's really hard to say. Look, I really don't know. First of all, we haven't even seen Secret Wars yet. Let's at least see the marketing for Secret Wars before we start trying to project what we think is going to happen in the MCU post Secret Wars. Because right now we still got Doomsday to come, right? And that isn't even it. That's just leading into Secret Wars. So let's get an idea about what's happening there before we start projecting reboots or soft reboots or whatever it is you want to call them as we go into the next phase after that. All right, what's next?
Carlos says, pitch, Eminem biopic directed by Coogler or Peele. I'm good with the first half of that. The second half, I could care less. Find the best director.
Wasn't 8 Mile kind of
It was loose, but I think they mean like an actual, like it's going to have his music, his life. I could see it being
discovered by Dre.
I could see that happening, and I would see it, but it's not going to be a huge movie. I mean, it's not going to be. It's not going to be a billion.
It's not going to be Michael big,
but it'd be big.
But if you got like a prestige director, like a Scorsese, like a Coogler, somebody along those lines to direct it, I could see them. I could see it having some success.
He's thought of as the best, one of the best, if not the best rapper in the industry.
Yeah. So and everybody knows if you want to get into any kind of spit battle with somebody, it ain't Eminem. He will. I mean, all due respect to Kendrick. Eminem would bury you. Yeah. I mean, you just. Yeah, go ask Machine Gun Kelly what happens when you try to get into a battle with Eminem. He buries you real quick. Yeah. All right, what's next?
Best to just be nice to Eminem. Carlos follows them, says, do you think they'll do a DCU Green Arrow movie?
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't think anytime really soon, but yes. Yeah, you got to do Green Arrow at some point. 100% we'll get around to that. All right, what's next?
Jeffrey Andrews, my first time catching your live show. Welcome in.
Oh, well, glad to have you here.
Well, actually, I guess that was yesterday, but hope you're here today.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
Cool Ranch says a $15 super chat. Just went to my first con. Wanted to talk to one of the smaller OG Star Wars actors who didn't have anyone in line and was just chilling. Would it have been okay to talk to him without buying anything? I think typically you still have to, you got to kind of pay to play.
Well, I mean, a lot of these cons and festivals normally it depends. For the bigger ones, you usually like pay,
and you have to get in line.
Yeah, you pay to get in line.
Yeah.
Now, depending on the star, that can be a different amount. It can be $50, could be $100, could be $5, because normally you do that. I've had no problem when it's just been
a booth,
a random booth.
Yeah. Of course.
I think they just love having fans coming up to interact with them.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to buy anything.
No.
But it's always nice if you do.
If it's specifically a signing booth, though, that's usually gate kept.
You got to pay for that in advance.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. But I mean, listen, I don't think you have to buy something. No. It's a good form to do it, though, especially if it's a free meet and greet sort of thing. It's probably a nice idea if you do, but I don't think absolutely required. All right, what's next?
Right, we got Lohit who says Knight of Seven Kingdoms with exclamation. If anyone wants to read the books but does not have the time, there are 3 great graphic novels. That's right, to read it faster, covering the story.
Dude, man, listen, I don't know how the rest of it's going to go. We've had a lot of shows that start strong and then go bad, but I am loving Knight of the Seven Kingdoms.
Well, did you watch the season trailer that came out after?
No, I did not.
It looks good.
Oh, dude, I totally hooked me. That first episode totally hooked me.
This is no spoil. I mean, I don't even know that it matters, but I love that Quentin Tarantino-esque, like that Western whistling song. That it was so different from anything Game of Thrones, Yeah. I loved it.
All right, what's next?
Carlos says, better director, Michael Gracie or Zach Krager? Well, I mean, that's like...
Well, they're so wildly different.
I know, right? 2 horror films. You got like Barbarian and Weapons versus Greatest Showman and Rocket Man and Better Man.
And he's got what's the one they just announced he's doing? They just announced a new one he's doing.
Upcoming is Tangled.
Right? He's doing the live action interpretation of Tangled. Mm-hmm. I mean, look, it all depends on what's the movie we're making.
Right.
Are we making a dark, gritty, whatever thing? Well, then I'm going with one guy. Are we making an entertainment heavy, lighter sort of thing? Well, then I'm going with the other guy. I mean, they are two wildly different ones. It really all depends on which type of movie you're talking about. All right, what's next?
Gael says, do you think Odyssey will be more successful rated PG-13 or R despite how well Oppenheimer was? I mean,
listen, I don't know why anybody ever thinks the quality of the movie is affected by the rating. Like, you can get away with almost everything with PG-13.
Box office wise, you open up to a larger audience.
Yeah.
With PG-13.
Yeah, you do. And I've yet to see a movie that's really, now, every once in a while, a 1%er comes along, like say Deadpool or something like that. But like this thought out there that, oh, if it's rated R, that means it'll be better. That's nonsense. 99% of the time, that's nonsense. So like it opens itself up to a bigger audience with PG-13. So I would say PG-13. Although again, even as an R-rated film, I think it's going to do extremely well. But yeah, the stats show us that if it's PG-13, it'll be open to a wider audience. All right, what's next?
Alpha says, at the end of Endgame, we hear a hammer forging something. Imagine the new post-credit starts the same, but then reveals it was RDJ making a Doom mask.
I've had about 8 people write that into me.
Well, that was an homage. It was like something paying honor to
just the history. Because if you go remember the credits of Endgame, it was like the autographs and reminiscing, and then it goes all the way back to the beginning with boom, boom. It ain't going to do that. Without saying too much, I can guarantee you.
Too many people would miss the reference, honestly.
Yeah, 100% they would.
Brandon says, I'm going to start a countdown to Doomsday, watching 1 or 2 Marvel movies every week from now until December. That's kind of a good idea, starting with X-Men this week.
Oh, so you're going to go like even outside of the MCU.
So everything that's tied in so far, that way they know.
Then yeah, you got enough movies there to do 1 movie a week.
That's great.
You definitely have enough. You know what? I kind of love that idea.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
I might do that myself. I love it. That's a great idea. All right, what's next?
The Batman says, hey, John, when I visited China last week, I saw Michael Jackson everywhere. This movie's going to be crazy. Dude,
listen, I remember the first time I said that I think the Michael biopic is a $1 billion potential film. Not 100% guaranteed lock, but it's got the potential. And I had so many people arguing with me, like, it at best is going to make like 300 million, 400 million. It's like, dude, I don't know what you're smoking. If you don't understand the lasting cultural impact of Michael Jackson's career, I don't know what to tell you. This movie's going to be big. Now, I'm not guaranteeing $1 billion, but if you don't recognize that it's got a shot at $1 billion, I think you're crazy. All right, what's next?
McDavid deserves better says, who takes hockey gold in Milan?
Canada.
Canada's superior star power, or USA's superior depth? I need to see Matthew. How do you pronounce that?
Kachuk.
Yep. Lose after a boot-looking orange man.
By the way, when I was a kid, I loved his dad. Oh, Keith Kachuk was like just a gritty, hard-nosed, talented, skilled. Oh, I used to love his dad. Yeah, it's Canada, man. Never been. Once you hit the ice, don't bet against Canada. Now, of course, anything can happen. Absolutely anything can happen. But yeah, the smart money would be on Canada. All right, what's next?
We got Amin who says, action without narrative purpose is just visual noise. Do you think Doomsday has a strong plot, as fun as it is to have fights and cameos and fan service? I hope for a strong, compelling story.
I wouldn't be impressed if it wasn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be excited if it wasn't. I didn't read something that just said, action, action, action. There's going to be a lot of action. But I'm not going to read that and go, okay, that's going to look cool. It's the whole package. It's the proper balance of action. And like you just quoted myself to me.
Yes.
Action without narrative purpose is just visual noise. There's no visual noise in this. This is, again, it could all be lost in the execution. But in principle, this is going to touch all the bases. Yeah. All right. What's next?
Johnny says, greetings from Chicago. Sorry for writing this late, but just wanted to say the Bears may have lost, but it was one hell of a game. Hopefully next year.
Listen, I told everybody going into that game, the Bears will lose, but oh my God, this is going to be one of the scarier teams for the next 3 or 4 years. They've got the coach. They've got the quarterback, good USC kid. They've got all the pieces. This wasn't their time yet, but they're going to be, I feel the same way about the Patriots. Patriots and Chicago are going to be scary, scary, scary teams for years. All right, what's next?
Saint says, hey, John, I have a friend that thought Michael B. Jordan couldn't act when then he watched Fruitvale Station and Sinners and he apologized.
What did he watch that he would think that Michael B. Jordan couldn't act?
Maybe he didn't like Creed or something, but he was great in that.
I loved him in Creed.
I'm just thinking because of like action movies or something, but he was still great in it.
Did he only see him in The Wire?
Fruitvale Station was heartbreaking.
Young little Michael B. Jordan, the kid running around. I don't know. I'd be curious to. I mean, glad he changed his mind after seeing Fruitvale Station, but I'm just curious to know what he did see Michael B. Jordan in that he thought he was a terrible actor.
That kind of reminds me of a lot of times we've had people give critiques on either a movie or director.
Well,
or
the Robert
actor.
Pattinson stuff.
Yeah,
like when they announced that Robert Pattinson was going to be Batman.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's a terrible actor, and yet they had seen none of the films that he had done in the previous 7 years.
they didn't even see Twilight.
Good Times, right? Like all these other things, like these things that
They just
made
assumed.
Christopher Nolan want to work with them, right? So like that happens a lot. It's like, well, I'll get into these conversations like, oh, that actor's no good.
When I saw Rover, I was like, dude,
Oh
this guy
my
is so
God.
good.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But, and then you run down all these films. Did you see this? And they're like, no. It's like, so you saw this one thing an actor was in and you think they're not a good actor.
Well,
and it happens.
And what I was going to say is oftentimes they're like, they're no good. And it's like, well, what have you seen? Well, nothing.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
I just know I hate them.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Daniel says, is it true Doomsday will reportedly open with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, Dr. Octopus battling the Fox, X-Men being seen all over Twitter? We can't talk about anything.
I'm not going to, I know the answer to that, but I'm not going to give it. All I will say is this. There are a number of commonly held belief now leaks going around that are absolutely not true. There's a couple that are, but there's a number of the widely held believed ones floating around online that some people are swearing by that I can tell you definitively are not true. I'm just not going to sit here and tell you which ones they are or not, because I got in a lot of trouble the last time I revealed specifics about an upcoming
this would
movie.
be big trouble. We don't want this.
Yeah, this would bring the kind of smoke I ain't looking
Yeah.
for. But I do know the answer to that question. I'm just not going to give you the specific answers. All right, what's next?
HV3 says Netflix is already making better movies and they don't even officially own Warner Brothers yet. The Rip is one of the best cop movies in years. Well, either way, they're separate entities.
Yeah,
but
I'm watching that today, but slow your roll. Slow your roll on that. For every one, The Rip, there's like 50 other pieces of garbage they put out. All right, so slow your roll on that. If Netflix was really great at making movies, they're not. If they were, they wouldn't be going after Warner Brothers. Part of the reason that they said they want Warner Brothers is because they know what they're doing when it comes to making motion pictures. So yeah, listen, I hear The Rip is great. Awesome. Frankenstein was great.
Train
Awesome.
Dreams is heartbreaking and meditative and beautiful.
But I think they just picked up
they
Train
picked it
Dreams.
up. Yeah.
The reality is, though, for every one of those, they have 50 total pieces of trash. So I wouldn't go so far as to say Netflix. No, Warner Brothers is better at making movies. That's one of the reasons Netflix wants Warner Brothers.
You know what angers me about this whole thing with Ellison?
What's that? And then there's 20 things that really anger me about this whole thing with Ellison. Well, what's that?
This guy is making me root for Sarandos.
I know. Rob said the same thing the other day.
I'm like, what are you doing, man? You're hurting my left brain and right brain here.
Like, I cannot believe I am in a position. Again, my first choice is that nobody buys Warner Brothers. That's my first choice. But I cannot believe I'm now I've been moved and my needle is moved enough that I'm in a position now where I'm actually rooting for Sarandos and Netflix to get Warner Brothers. But, and the number one person responsible for that is David Ellison.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
All right, this is our last one. Also, thanks for Dean Talks Movies for the super sticker. I'll just bring it up there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dean Talks Movies. Appreciate that.
We got, this is our final one. Keaton Halbeck says thoughts on Dunk's poop scene. Unnecessary.
But I'll tell you what, dude.
But the moment
set
before
up to it.
Oh, I could talk about that.
And then I
Can I-
gotta admit, I was grossed out, but I laughed my ass
If you
off.
just cut that part out and you just want to analyze the acting in that man's eyes, as he was being directed, but they also must have known they were going to swell that music, and they're directing his eye shifts, and that blink and his eye shifts, and there's an uproar in the music. I was like, oh my God, I'm in.
By the way, I don't know how true this is, but apparently George R.R. Martin,
You're going to say that was a real poop.
yeah, George R.R. Martin says he just did that.
Oh my
That
gosh.
that's really his ass, and they actually got him to crap on camera. Now,
Come on.
I cannot sit here and validate that or tell you that that's 100% true.
Does that break like a union rule?
But if that's what George R. R. Martin said, that was actually shot that way. So
They didn't even get a stunt pooper?
take that as you will. Again, let me be clear, am not representing that is a fact. I'm just saying, George R. R. Martin was saying that was
Once more with feeling.
much more with feeling.
Someone I just lost it, but someone just I just lost it. Sorry, but that was good.
Yeah, he dropped trout and actually took a dump on camera to make it feel real. He did the Tom Cruise thing, make it real.
Well, let's make that a one and done, please.
Yes. And all right, guys, that'll do it for today's really full installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for taking your time out and joining us. By the way, guys, we continue to experiment with stuff on the show because we want to make it more informative and more entertaining for you guys. What did you think about us having a quick guest drop in like the Kristian Harloff spot? Or what do you think about our In Other News segment? It's not going to hurt believe me, I experiment and change things all the time. It's not going to hurt my feelings if you say you don't like it, or maybe you loved it. Let me know what you thought about that stuff in the comment section, by the way. Hey guys, don't forget to come on back and join us again tomorrow. We've already got a couple things lined up for the show tomorrow that I'm really excited about. Looking forward to having you guys back with us. So, for our technical producer, Jonathan Voico,
Tune in tomorrow. I poop on cue.
that's how I'm going to open the show. Greetings and salutations, everybody. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.